Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond the Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is Introduction to the Multiverse and Psoyca Sentience. We said a few videos back that we weren't waiting for stragglers. And we also stated that those of Psoyca crew that are going to be in this game are going to have to run to catch up. The gloves are off. We're going to be providing information now strictly on a take it or leave it basis. You can either take it or leave it. I don't really give a shit one way or the other. You can continue to believe in beliefs, or you can try to expand yourself into something greater than what human knowledge presents at this point in time. We're not peddling beliefs. We're telling what is from what we understand at this point based on our personal experiences and the information we have from Psoyca crew sources. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the multiverse. So I'm going to give you a 101 example of the multiverse. I related in a previous video how humans think in singularities. This is how this whole oneness doctrine occurred. Everything is based on one, a single creator, a single God, a single source, a single universe as one, a single soul in your body as one, yada, yada, yada. The species is trapped in the concept of singularity. But let's take the word universe. Let's look at our universe like a bubble, okay? And this is a fair analogy. If our universe is a bubble, then what is the multiverse? To understand the multiverse, think of a bubble bath. Our universe is only one bubble in the midst of all the bubbles in that bubble bath. All the bubbles in that bubble bath represent the multiverse. Now think about that for a moment, just on the size of scale. I mean, talking seriously, think about that. Because that's how big this shit gets. That's how big the multiverse is. Our universe is only one tiny bubble amidst trillions of tiny bubbles that comprise the multiverse. Now, within the vastness of this multiverse is only one creation. Look at this creation like a petri dish experiment. Like a 7th grade experiment in a science class. Now, if this vast multiverse is just a petri dish creation, it means something from outside exists. Along with this petri dish creation, we also have other creations that contain other forms of universes or multiverses, depending on what their creator created. So, we have this creation and other creations, and then we have something outside of these creations. Seriously think about this shit, because this is how big this game gets. This isn't just idle speculation and philosophical meandering to play head games with you. This is the kind of shit that Psoyca Sentience knows about, but has forgotten about. We think that we have one soul. And this is all predicated on that hive programming, because you had one hive cell in you that they told you was a soul, which has nothing to do with soul or sentience whatsoever. It was just a chip off the old hive block. And that goes into this singularity thinking that humans have. There was one author that brought up the multiverse and also brought up the circumstance of the other dimensional selves. Because of this singularity thinking, because we think we have one soul, and that soul is contained in this one body, and it is all part of this grand oneness, we have no concept of sentience beyond this concept of one. Consciousness is more expansive than a single hive cell. Consciousness can operate within creations, and it can operate outside of creations, because consciousness is expansive. And it is only limited in its growth by its experience and its willingness to grow, just like you as a human are trying to expand beyond what you think you know about yourself to become something greater. With this type of expanding sentience, this consciousness can inject seeds, for want of a better term, into different human forms in different places at the same time. This is what we call a sponsoring consciousness, a sponsoring Psoyca sentience. So you may have what we call other dimensional selves. They are as unique as you are, but they're particles of sentience, they're particles of consciousness, and we use the word particle very loosely here, all arise from the same Psoyca sentience. It's sort of like somebody having kids. You have a mother and you have a father. They're like your sponsoring sentience. And the children are the offspring, in a sense, of that sponsoring sentience. So you may have other aspects of the same sponsoring consciousness inhabiting other planets in different forms far across the galaxy and far across the multiverse. These pieces are all separated. They're all unique. They're all individual, just like you are. But they're all part of your individual sponsoring consciousness. And there is no single genitive Psoyca consciousness. Psoyca sentients are as individualized as we are within this form. So part of what you can do, and part of what we teach, or will be teaching in our upcoming new series of books, is how you can meet these other dimensional selves, and as Barbara Marciniak related in her books, do a merge with them. This merge is not a giving up of your individuality. It's more like connecting with an internet to where you can tap into their knowledge and they can tap into your knowledge. But when you know whatever it is that they have, you won't know where it came from. It's just like tapping into a vast cosmic internet, where your human form is nothing but a workstation that taps into it. It's an individuated workstation, just like your PC. So it connects like the internet, but it's still a single PC. And I expect there to be lots of questions about this stuff, because this is just a 101 snapshot of all of this shit. But for all those folks who think, well, we're ready for the wisdom of the universe, or we're ready for the knowledge of the universe, you're fixing to find out how unprepared you are. And this is only the very first kindergarten lesson in this stuff of what awaits you. You are going to have to expand what you think you know way beyond the limits of your cognitive boxes to step into this shit. You are not going to be able to compress the multiverse and multiple creations and consciousness into your limited human boxes based on indoctrination from limited scientific authorities, priests, gurus, and spiritual traditions. It's not going to fucking fit. The only way you're going to be able to grasp this stuff is to knock down the walls of your compartmentalized cognitive boxes and grow and expand. And if you're unwilling to do that, go find another channel and buy the gloom and doom shit. I don't really care. Wait for Jesus to come back and he'll be putting your butt in the ground while you're still waiting. But if you want to expand, you're going to have to expand. And you're going to have to do it pretty quick. Because this game is moving on with or without you. We're going to present a lot of different information, because every Psoyca sentient that is moved into human form here is going to have different triggers that will activate their memories. And we don't know what your personal triggers may be. We don't know what piece of data is going to stimulate your consciousness into activating and realizing a lot of what we've been sharing for the last couple of years. We've been doing a scattershot effect, shotgun effect. We've been throwing information out all over the place because we don't know what your personal triggers are, what your personal activation codes are. And you aren't going to know what they are until you get that piece of information that turns on that switch in you and you go, oh, wow, okay, now I get it. So we're still going to be doing a scattershot approach. It doesn't invalidate the information we present, but it's not going to be in a linear ABC progression like humans think. There is a science to this. And I want people to understand, just because I criticize first cognition reality. I don't have a problem with science. I have a problem with scientism as a materialistic religion. Scientism relies on the five senses of human sensory perception. It relies on materialism and what it can do with a machine to measure what it wants to measure. Anything that goes beyond this five sense perception doesn't exist within scientism. And because of this, science has roped itself into a corral, just like every other first cognition endeavor, whether it's psychology, philosophy, academia, politics. I don't give a shit what it is. You're all roped into a goddamn corral. You got to grow beyond that stuff. You have to be expansive. You're going to be presented with ideas that nobody has told you about, or if they have only remotely intimated about, which is what Marciniak did in Bringers of the Dawn. She intimated at it, but she didn't explain it. She couldn't explain it because she didn't know. We're going to try and provide explanations. We're going to hit you with information. It's going to come hard, and it's going to come fast, and it's going to be up to you to sort it out. But we're moving on with or without you, and we've stated that in our books, and we've stated that in these videos. You're going to have to run to catch up. You're going to have to digest a lot of shit. You're going to have to tear down your compartmentalized thinking walls and expand into new possibilities in order to play this game. Otherwise, you're going to stay locked in that first cognition corral. You're not going to be able to fit this stuff into those boxes. Science is talking about, well, we have 11 dimensions, and they're talking about, the dinosaurs existing at the same time in another dimension as we are now. That's bullshit. It's first cognition speculation. Within this one universal bubble alone, there's over 1,085 inhabited dimensional frequencies. And by inhabited, I mean by beings of all sorts, shapes, and varieties. Many of them material, some of them not. You're going to have to change your perception of reality beyond stupid human thinking and angels and gods and wah-da-doo-da. If you're unwilling to do that, go find another channel. We're not talking to you anyway. So this is the first salvo for our listeners to start trying to digest. There's more to come. For those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.